Hello everyone! Today I would like to show you how to make Hershey's chocolate mini muffins. Now this recipe isn't entirely mine. I got it from Hershey's website, but I did make some slight alterations to it. Also, today's episode is dedicated to Ava, my best friend whose birthday is today. We both like to bake a lot, so I wanted to make something in her honor. So happy birthday, Ava! Okay, so the first thing that I like to do when I start to bake is make some small preparations. So you'll need two bowls. One is for your dry ingredients, which will be the bigger bowl, and the other for your wet ingredients. The measurements that we'll be using are third cups, half cups, and teaspoons. So you're going to want to get those prepared as well. You'll also want to get some sort of sifter for your flour. This is really important to make sure that the muffins aren't dense, so they're airy and moist. So the first ingredient you're going to add is flour, and I just want to include some baking tips with flour. So when you store flour, you should definitely store it in the freezer, and this is because when flour is manufactured, sometimes they have, and I'm not really sure the origin of this or why, but they have eggs of some type of gnat, fly type bug, and if you put them in the freezer, as soon as you get them home, you eliminate the chances of them hatching. But if you put it in a cabinet or, not a frozen place, if there's eggs in there, they will hatch. And it's kind of scary when you're opening flour and you see little bugs everywhere, because that has happened to me. So that's my tip. Also, when you are measuring flour, it's important to sort of mix up the flour. You could do it just with like the measuring cup you're using. So just like, fluff it out before you measure it. That way you get a more accurate measurement. And then always flatten the top when you measure it. So we need 2.5 cups, so we're gonna need 5 of these. So you just place it in your sifter and just sift it in there. Now when you are adding your light brown sugar, always be sure to measure by packing it into your measuring cup. Always make sure your hands are clean before you do that, of course. Oops. It's okay if you spill some, as long as your working area is clean. And I'll highlight this a little bit better when I'm actually stirring the dry ingredients together, but since we're not using a hand mixer or, a countertop mixer for this, we're just using our spatula. You'll want to make sure to try your best to get the clumps of brown sugar out. I know it's not that easy because when you're stirring it, it tends to clump back together anyway, but to ensure that your mixture is smooth by the end of it, just try your best to get those clumps sort of out of there. Since the cocoa requires a half cup, I'm just reusing the one that I used for the flour. And the container obviously does not fit the half cup. An easy way is just by taking a regular spoon and just scooping it into the measuring cup. So I know I put on my recipe to use chopped chocolate bars. I did put a measurement, but that's just sort of a guideline. You could really just add up to whatever you have, add it in, and just see if that's enough. But I don't actually have any chocolate bars right now, and I can't go to the store to get some, so I'm just gonna use some milk chocolate chips. But keep in mind, if you're using chocolate chips as an alternative, they're just a little bit bigger, and you know that they're mini muffins, so you're gonna be using smaller muffin cups. So just keep in mind how many you're putting in, and you don't want too many in one cup. So just have fun with it and add as many as you want within reason. So now is the part where you will be mixing your dry ingredients, just until they're mixed thoroughly. But keep in mind, like I said before, you'll find these big chunks of brown sugar that you'll want to kind of crush out brown sugar loves to clump together, so we don't want that, especially since we're not using a hand mixer or any type of electronic mixer, we're just using our hands. Brown sugar clump removal doesn't have to be perfect. You probably will never get all of the clumps out, especially once you add the wet ingredients, it's going to clump up again. But you just want to get like the really big pieces out. So once you have all your dry ingredients mixed together, what you're going to want to do is create what's called a well in the center, and that's where you pretty much will just get all of your dry ingredients up towards the sides, creating like a hole in the center. I'll show you. So you can see the bottom of the bowl, and what that does is allows for the wet ingredients to be in one place, and so you'll kind of fold in all of the dry ingredients so that you don't overmix once you add the wet ingredients. Okay, I just wanted to announce that halfway through doing this, I realized I did the recipe for a whole batch instead of half a batch. So I just wanted to say, always remember to understand what you're doing, because I didn't want 24 mini muffins. Or, no, oh my god, I think this makes 48. Okay, we'll see what happens. I think I might have used the regular recipe instead of half. I don't know for sure. We're gonna find out pretty soon. So a lot of people have trouble cracking eggs, and I happen to be one of those people. I've just never really been good at it. So my recommendation is to crack them into a separate bowl. Even if you think you're good, honestly, it's just a lot easier than having to worry about accidentally getting some of the shell in what you've already put in it. See, I've already put the milk and the oil in, so I don't want to get any shell in that. So I'm just going to crack it into the bowl. Also, it is extremely important to wash your hands after you crack the eggs if you get any egg on your hand, because you don't want any cross-contamination in your kitchen. You don't want it. So just wash your hands. So next you're gonna whisk all of your dry ingredients together. It helps to sort of poke the egg yolks with the whisk before you start to whisk it. So that way it just makes it easier to break out the whisk together. So you just wanna whisk back and forth hand motion until everything sort of comes together. I can't show you because if I show you, it'll all dump out. So this next part is pretty tricky. It's still something I'm actually getting used to because this is the first recipe that I actually have for muffins. So I'm still not quite used to this process. But so what you're gonna do is take your dry ingredients that you have the well in and sort of dump your wet ingredients right into the center. Oh, that's a lot. See, I was not prepared for a regular size batch, but that's what we have. Also, I will be putting the ingredients, I think at the end of the video as well as in the description. So since I'm not going over every ingredient that I'm putting in the video. So what you'll want to do is take, I wish there was a way I could show you, but let me try. You're gonna want to take the dry and fold it into the wet, sort of. And like I said, I'm still pretty new to this and I've never done a full batch, so this is sort of more than I expected, but you want to do it until it's just moistened. And what that means is you don't want to mix it like once it's together. Oh my goodness. Once it's together and like there's no sign of dry ingredient, don't continue mixing it because you will overmix it. Oh my gosh, sorry. You will overmix it and okay. I'm so sorry. You will overmix it, and that will make the muffins a lot tougher than you want them to be. You want them to be moist and airy. So when you're stirring it, just sort of fold up and in. Okay, so now everything is mixed, and I think I'll actually add some more chocolate chips. When I first originally added the chocolate chips, I thought I was doing half a batch, so not quite enough. But I think what I've decided is, instead of putting this all into the mini muffin pan, because that just is a lot to try to make, I think I'm gonna fill up the mini muffin pan, but then I might also put them into loaf pans. So we're gonna see if that works. I don't know, I've never done before, so we'll see. I actually ended up finding regular size muffin pans. So I have 2 of these, and I think that's what I'll try using. And if there are any left over, then I will probably do it in a loaf pan, but we'll pull out and see what happens first. I had the recent discovery of Pam baking made with flour, and it is a lifesaver. I've never liked using Pam just because I always thought it had like a very artificial, icky taste, but this is a very natural flavor. It doesn't like mix, like, I don't know, I always felt like with I think it was flavored with butter. Using that Pam, I don't know, I felt like the taste stuck, but this definitely does not. So you're gonna wanna spray your muffin pan, and then I like to take a paper towel and sort of wipe the inside just to make sure all of it gets coated and there isn't any excess. And once you have your muffin pan grease, I just like to take a big spoon and scoop out some of the filling. Of course, wash your hands first, and just fill the cup about halfway. I have a feeling that the amount of mix I have here is going to take up a lot more than these 2 muffin pans. One of my big recommendations with baking is to wait to preheat your oven until you're in this stage, just because I always feel like preheating your oven, it takes not a lot of time at all to heat. So when you're mixing your ingredients together, when you hear that the oven's ready, it sort of makes you want to rush a little bit, and I don't like to do that. I like to take my time when I bake, so now would be a good time to preheat your oven to, I think, I'm not going to tell you what to because I don't have my wrist. Oh yes, I have it right here. To 375. So with the amount of batter that we had, I was able to fill up 21 of the muffin cups. I filled most of them a little bit higher than half, so had I not done that, I probably would have been able to fill up the remaining 3, but this is fine. So you're gonna want to put them into the oven for 15 to 18 minutes or until the edges are firm. The time is up, but I'm gonna leave them in just a little bit longer. I don't think the edges are completely firm yet, but one way to check if you don't know for sure is to take a toothpick and stick it directly in the middle. And when you take the toothpick out, there should be nothing on the toothpick, and that means that they're done. Now this next part is very important with the timing. So if you want to put chocolate chips on after you take them out, what you have to do is take them out and let them cool in the pan for exactly 1 minute. Then immediately put the chocolate chips in after that minute has passed. And then let them cool completely in the pan. And once they're cool, you could just take them out and put them onto a wire rack. Now to take the muffins out, you should just be able to give it a little turn and then lift them out. And they should come out nice and clean. Okay, so the sprinkling of the chocolate chips did not work at all. I tried it on only a few, and the chips actually just stayed on top and then just started sweating, which means like the outside is not melted, but it's just like getting melty. So that flopped. But here is a muffin. This is one of the shorter ones, but it's not completely cold, but I just couldn't wait. So let's dig in. Oh my god, it's terrible. I'm just kidding, just kidding. It's actually really good. I don't know if you can see. That's the inside. So, it's not undercooked. There aren't too many chocolate chips inside, and that was my fear. But that's okay. You don't need to have it. Just do what you want. Live your life. I hope you enjoyed my chocolate muffins. Let me know if you decide to make them, and send me a picture of what they look like. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below. Keep in mind the recipe will come next. Hopefully, if I could edit it in, or it'll be down in the description. Thanks for watching.